Hi everyone, Chicken here. In the last 2 lessons, we learned how to draw the human body proportionally. In this lesson, we will be moving on to the face. We will be learning to construct the planes of the face and position the facial features. Before we start, I want to break down the skull very simply. I have a skull drawing here, and in anatomy, the skull is split into 2 portions, the neurocranium, where the brain sits in, and the visceral cranium, the part that forms and supports the face tissue. If we visualize these 2 parts separately, it can help us in drawing and positioning the face and neck. Also, having a general idea of the shape of the skull can help us understand the planes of the face. We are going to use this photo reference here as a guide, and I'm going to lower the opacity so we can trace on the guidelines. I also have here the photo of the skull, so we can just reference back to the bone structure as we draw. So let's start with an oval for the neurocranium. The more we view it from the side, the more oval it will be. We will draw on the T-guide to show us where she's facing, and the horizontal line is roughly where our visceral cranium starts and where the eyebrows will sit. Next, we will have the bottom half of the sphere to show the plane where our eyes will sit. I'm gonna draw a circle here that represents our temporal area. You can see it on the skull. And this temporal area is fairly flat. Next, using the temporal area, we can locate our ears. The top part of the ears will sit around the eye line. Now that we have the ears, we can locate where the nose and chin sits. The nose will be around at the bottom of the sphere, and the ratio of eyebrow to the nose is the same as the nose to the chin. We can see it on the skulls too. Next, we will sculpt the line from the cheekbone down to the chin. It will start around at the ears. Next, with the cheekbone as a guideline, we can now draw on the jaw. I'll draw a slanted line going inwards to signify the plane for the eyes, and another curve midway between the eyebrows and the top of the sphere to signify where the hairline sits. We can draw 2 more slanted lines, and that will be the plane of our forehead. And if you want to adjust anything, the liquify tool is always there to help us. Like here, I thought the head was too oval, so I kind of squished it in a bit. Now let's try a front view. Like I mentioned before, the more we view the neurocranium from the side, the more oval it is. So when we view it from the front, it will appear more round. Similarly, our guidelines for the eyebrow and eyes, the temporal regions, we can see it on the skull too over here. Our ears. And now we can find the chin with the ratios. And because this is a front view, we are going to have both the cheekbones slanted inwards at both sides. We can see here on the skull too. And now we'll mark out the planes for the eyes and the forehead. Now, instead of tracing over a reference, let's just draw the head guide while looking at a reference. Unlike the previous 2 examples, she's kind of looking up, so I'm going to draw the line kind of tilted upwards like this. And referencing the previous lesson, we can draw in the neck also with the sternocleidomastoid sloping down onto the trapezius. Okay, now that we had some practice with references, we can try one from memory. Drawing a face from memory will be much easier with this head guide because it will help us with the proportions and locate everything. From this view, the cheekbone will be kind of straight like this, and a little bit of the jaw will be visible from this side. Now we can even try a side view. So far, all the heads we did previously were all pretty realistically proportioned. So you can even try to trace your favorite artist who draws stylized faces and see what kind of ratios they work with. Like maybe from the eyebrow to the nose down to the chin is not a perfect 1:1 ratio. You know, anime chins tend to be kind of shorter. And of course, the eyes are bigger. So take a look at where they are placed. Over here, we can see that the eyes are still kind of halfway between the eyebrows to the bottom of the sphere, but the chin is obviously a lot shorter. We can see here the ratio is definitely not 1:1. Maybe it's about 3:2. So yeah, you can see even in a stylized face, all the parts are there. Maybe just the proportions are slightly exaggerated. And different art styles will have different ratios, but generally all the planes will be present. So if you want to study another art style, you can even try to trace this head guide on their faces and observe how their ratios or proportions differ. For the mission, draw at least 3 head guides and construct the planes of the face. If you want to challenge yourself, you can try different angles. Maybe you can try a head tilt or change up the camera angle. So again, for this exercise, there's 3 different levels. If you are still a beginner, you can go ahead and trace over a reference. If you are comfortable with that, you can try drawing while looking at a reference. And finally, if you think you can draw without a reference, go ahead and do that. To recap, today we learned how to break down the face and head into shapes and planes. In the next lesson, I will go through how we can start to draw on the facial features and stylize it in my style.